Having worked at a bank for the last 5 years, I think it's safe to say that money is a huge stress.
Inflation continues to take a big bite out of family budgets. In July, personal expenditures jumped another 3.3% from a year ago.
Over half of Americans earning a six-figure salary report that they're actually living paycheck to paycheck.
The consumers that have a whole lot of debt really are struggling to survive.
And unfortunately, in today's society, it is just becoming more difficult to be able to save money. And through my experiences at the bank, I have truly seen it all when it comes to people's finances. So through this time, I actually developed my own unique money-saving habits that ultimately allowed me to have just shy of 6 figures invested into the stock market, as well as about 2 years worth of expenses saved in cash, ultimately allowing me to quit my job and pursue my passion here on YouTube. These are my 5 simple ways that I save money on a budget. $1 a week. When I was a little kid, my parents developed a brilliant way to help me save money. After each week, after I did all of my chores, which wasn't very much, but in my mind it was a lot, I received $1. And ultimately, while this was very frustrating as a kid, I felt like I could never afford an action figure. Looking back, it taught me 2 tremendous lessons that I still use today. Time is the most precious currency, and buy what provides value. So when I would be in the toy aisle at Target, instead of me impulsively wanting to buy something, I now saw everything in terms of how much would it cost me in weeks? How much time of my life would it cost me to be able to buy this item? An $8 action figure was worth 2 months of my life. And so through this, it really just helped me eliminate the urge altogether of wanting to impulsively buy, because I found that my time was far more precious than some toy. But ultimately, I still would save up my $1 bills, and eventually I would go and I would buy an action figure because I had carefully thought what it was that I wanted, and it provided a tremendous amount of value. So much so that I actually still have the majority of my action figures from a kid. So I think that that just shows the magnitude of the thought and the value that I placed on what it was that I was buying. But to further expand on this, since we are adults and we only talk about the most serious matters, what I'm ultimately discussing is delayed gratification. Every time I look at making a discretionary purchase, I think to myself, is this worth the time it took me to save? And will it provide me enough value that I will enjoy it for years to come? Money is simply just a tool. Your time is the only thing forever depleting. Use your time for what provides value. Avoid the iceberg. I think of our lives financially, or the budget that you have, somewhat like the Titanic, a powerful ship subject to preventative destruction. The less you plan, the fewer lifeboats you have, and the more miscellaneous purchases you make, the more icebergs you are sailing into. And while I often get mistaken for Brad Pitt from Troy, it may come as a surprise, but I am an absolute sucker for baked goods. And somehow I got lucky enough that everyone in my life is a master baker. But even on my own, every time I'm in a coffee shop, I feel like I am sailing my ship straight into the wall of Game of Thrones. So I devised what is called Avoid the Iceberg as a representation to the many different ways that the Titanic could have been prevented from sinking, arguably. So while the most obvious answer to me not eating a lemon loaf and spending money on that is to just not put myself in an environment where there is one, I actually want to live my life as freely as possible. And I think of that being like, let's build the Titanic and let's put it in the desert so there's no potential risk. I don't want to be tiptoeing around my life, avoiding temptation on what I will spend money on. So what I think it ultimately boils down to is the most simple, single daily habits that you can do. I may pack my favorite soda or bring a homemade baked good as a way to fulfill my desire without spending excess money. This also applies to if I know that I'm going to have a long day, I will fill up 2 water bottles so I don't buy water. I pack my lunch each and every day to avoid eating out. And if you thought that this was the most creative way to be able to just say, pack your lunch and bring some water, get ready for this next one. Be a Baggins, not a Golem. I believe one of the biggest single issues when it comes to people saving money or working on a budget is they don't have a actual destination on where it is that they're wanting to go. They don't know the actual reason that they are saving money other than, I just need to save money. In the Lord of the Rings universe, Bilbo and Frodo both leave the Shire to go on an adventure. They did not necessarily know how they were going to get there, but they had a mission that they were trying to accomplish. For me personally, my mission was to save enough money to be able to quit my job and to be able to pursue my passion on finding some way to be able to help humanity rid or understand some of their struggles. So every discretionary purchase, temptation, and impulsive desire all had to be more important than me quitting my job and my desire for helping people. And very rarely was it. You need to have something as a North Star on what it is that you are truly wanting to pursue. It needs to be more than, I'm saving up for retirement, or I'm saving up for a down payment, or I'm saving up to be able to put my kids in college. That is just too vague. That would be like saying, dang, I really need to burn the ring on Mordor. And then you're just like, I'm just gonna go back to second breakfast. It needs to be something like, I am saving $750,000 so I can quit my job, travel with my wife to the destinations that we've always wanted to do, and to be able to have time set with my grandkids to be able to help them grow in the way that maybe I didn't do with my own kids. Or I am saving up for a down payment for the home of my dreams so I can give my kids a life in a stable environment that I wasn't able to have as myself as a kid. Or I am saving up for my kids' college fund because I want to give them the absolute best life that they can, and I want them to be able to have the freedom to do whatever it is that they want. It's these things that are more specific that causes you to have an emotional drive that'll be able to allow you to break through the resistance that you might have. But on the other hand, do not be a golem. A golem is someone that just sits in a cave and hoards money. Money is not a destination, a singular goal, or even a lifestyle. It is simply a tool to help you achieve your desired goals. Discover the purpose. So these were the shoes that I wore roughly every single day for about 2 years. And instinctively you look at them and I think that we can all decide, man, you need to get some new shoes. And you're right in one way. But what it was that I was doing is every single day that I would look at them, I would think to myself, what is the purpose of these shoes? Is the purpose for me to feel comfortable? Is the purpose for me to look good? Is the purpose for me to be able to take it to a nice place? Or is the purpose simply to just have some shoes on my feet? And for me, the answer was continuously that last one. I just needed to have shoes. So it saved me a tremendous amount of money because I wasn't going and just buying new shoes. I wore those because it was fitting the need of that purpose. Until the green paint splotch got so big and the purpose ended up being more, I need to work on my image because now this is making me look bad. And unfortunately in society, we need to have some sort of image that we're trying to uphold. And I was doing things out in society that I needed to look a little bit better. So then I bought new shoes. And as you can see, these are worn as well. I've had these for about a year now. And they are starting to get holes in them. And so I go back to that same thing. What is the purpose of these shoes? And for me, the answer is that I need to have shoes on my feet. So whenever we look at, maybe the couch doesn't look as nice as we would like, or maybe the car isn't what we want, or the car isn't working as good, or whatever the case is, whenever we're trying to buy something or replace something, or we just aren't happy with the way it looks, we need to ask ourselves, what is the purpose? For my couch, I don't think it's the most attractive. I would like to have something that would be more aesthetically pleasing. But for me, the purpose of the couch is for it to be comfortable. And that's exactly why I chose it. But if I decide this is no longer comfortable, I want an aesthetically pleasing couch, and I decide that is the sole purpose of the couch, then that's what I'll get. We need to ask ourselves, what is the purpose it is serving before we buy anything? And I have found this to be a tremendous money saver as I rarely replace stuff and I use it until I absolutely can't anymore. Enjoy the free things. One of my absolute best memories as a kid was going to the public library with my mom and my brother and spending just countless hours there and just having fun. And then we would go and we would get ice cream after, and I know that that's not a part of the point that I'm making here, but the great memories was the time at the library, or the memories that I've had of going and doing things with my dad. But ultimately, what I remember the most is the conversations. I have found that my most precious memories and most precious things I've done in my life have come from the conversations, or the laughs, or the moments with myself or around loved ones. It's never something that I physically did that costed money. I think that sometimes we forget, because of marketing and our phones and the way that we are always pursuing something, that there's a whole nother world going right outside your door. I'm literally looking at being able to have all of these trees and stuff and thinking, I can go out there and I can explore a whole nother aspect of this life completely for free. And I have got to the point to where, besides food and gas, I'm not spending any money a week to do anything. All I'm doing is I'm spending time swimming at the springs in Austin, and I'm walking Town Lake. I go hang out at Silker, and I do stuff with my friends, and it's never costing money. But the important thing is that I would do this even if money wasn't a concern, or if it wasn't a budget, because I have found what truly is important to me and what truly provides value. And so ultimately, the underlying message in this is a lot of saving money is going to come from daily habits. But the underlying most important part is that we need to know what it is that we are wanting to do in our lives, or we are wanting to know, how is money going to provide assistance? Because money is simply a tool. Money will not provide happiness. And I will argue that all day long. It will not provide happiness, but it will provide stability. It will provide different ways for you to be able to pursue what it is that you want to do. It will be able to alleviate concerns on healthcare and all of these other things. But we cannot live our lives for money. When I look at my action figures, it gets me really emotional, because even though I am young, the 5 years that I worked at the bank, I was so consumed with money and my pursuit of it, and the way that I could alleviate it from other people, all of these different things. I was like Golem. I could only focus on money. And I truly believed that money was going to solve all of my problems. And it isn't until I sit here and I reflect, looking at these action figures, is that the happiest or the most joy that I felt was the time when I was able to play with these action figures. When the time that I was using what had value to me. So I don't know if we got kind of off track here at the end, but these are the simple daily habits that I use to be able to save money and to be able to pursue my dreams. I hope that this provides some sort of value. Please just remember, do not live your life in pursuit of money. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.